I want to turn our attention now to this wonderful conference, Felicia, that you're helping to organize. And it's to commemorate the 25th anniversary of Judith Plaskow's seminal work, Standing Again at Sinai. Can you just first start us out with a brief description of why this book was so important then and why you think it's still so important now?
I think the importance of the book then, 25 years ago, was it was the first, I would say, feminist Jewish theological work that really not only talked about the inclusion of women, but really challenged the assumptions by which Judaism was built, and not only made a critique, but also imagined what could be possible. 25 years later, a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't changed. And I think the conference is on February 8th at our synagogue and our community house on 88th and 89th Street. But it's really meant to not only celebrate how far we've come, but also to ask the questions, where haven't we changed? And what is so hard to move around some of these issues? And also to ask young people, what are their dreams for the future? Where should we be 25 years from now?
So I want to just ask you all a question, because part of what we're doing to build up to this conference is to put out some questions through our Sisterhood blog and get a conversation going on just the exact themes that you mentioned. And one of the things we're asking women to do is to think about a specific moment, a specific experience.
Not only women, by the way.
Oh, yes,
men
excuse
too.
me. Women and men, when they realize that gender matters as a Jew. Anything come to mind for any of you?
Yeah.
Please.
I think the most salient image is one that just surfaced the other day of 3 female world leaders standing alone on a street, because it was a reaction to the Orthodox Jewry removing them from the photo of all the world leaders marching in Paris. So that was a very stark image for me to look at, and I assume for all of you as well.
I guess mine is on a sort of a smaller level. I actually went to my first Hoshana Rabbah service, which I didn't actually know existed.
So just explain a little bit.
It is the last day of Sukkot, and it's where the lulav and etrog are being waved kind of enthusiastically and spiritually for many hours with a lot of prayer. And I went to an Orthodox synagogue, and the men's side, they were having literally an ecstatic experience, the men. They were packed together. It was literally like a party. And the women were having a funeral. And it was the same service going on at the same time. That is truly no exaggeration. It was like 2 dual experiences that were utterly unalike. And I looked across from the wall and thought, I can't believe I can't get over there. I can't believe, and I don't mean that in just the most naive, like, I can't have this party. But just the fact that it really would be an upheaval for me to walk 3 feet and stand with them. And there was no way that I could have the experience they were having.
I know for me, I mean, I was very fortunate in that I grew up in a Reform synagogue where girls and boys, men and women, did much of everything the same. And when we moved to London and lived there for a few years, and we joined a wonderful synagogue that was Masorti, a sort of more independent kind of mixture of conservative and Orthodox. But there certainly were things that women didn't do in the service. And I remember the very first time someone came up to us, you know, we were the new people, very obviously American, and kind of looked straight at my husband and said, well, do you read Torah? And then I said, well, I do. And they kind of looked at me as if I was very strange. And again, I'm not saying this to whine or to sort of say, I want to go to that party too, but you only have to spend some time in a synagogue where you realize like that's where the power is, around the bima, around that storytelling. But also, frankly, I'm like, you know, I'm a pretty decent Torah reader. Like, why shouldn't my voice count as much to God as someone else's?